Hi, everybody. Happy Tuesday. Yep, it's Tuesday again. Time for another fun project. I hope everybody is having a really good week. Um, I know it just seems kind of weird. We had a holiday, was it last week? And that kind of threw me off. All weekend, I kept thinking I was a day behind. So I think I'm finally on track and ready for our Tuesday night. Hi, Paula. Nice to see you. So I was scratching my head thinking, what could we do? We've done a lot of 3D projects. We've done a lot of cards. And I got a Stampin' Up! Delivery last week with all the new blends in them. And I didn't have anything to put them in. So light bulb went off and I said, well, how about if we make a blends holder? And I made one last year for the few blends that I had then. I really liked it because not only was it compact, but it's very portable. It's easy to make. It doesn't take a lot of materials. And with the one we're going to make tonight, it holds all of the blends. I think we're up to what, 47? We've got 22 color combos, a color lifter, bronze and ivory. So I had to make it almost twice as big, but this is what I came up with. And it's very, very sturdy. As a matter of fact, the more sections I put in, the sturdier this puppy got. So I was very, very happy with the way it came out. Now, I don't have all of them in here yet because I left the last section so that I could show you how we're going to put this together. For supplies, it's really easy. It just takes 7 of our acetate card boxes. And they come 10 to a pack, so it doesn't even take a full pack. I'm going to stand these up. I know you're supposed to store them laying down, but it won't matter for this short time that we're going to be doing this. This is what one of the acetate boxes looks like before it's put together. And it's what we're going to use. Really simple. The first thing we need to do so that we have open access, making it easy for us to pull our blends in and out, is we're going to cut off one end. And it doesn't matter if you cut off the top or the bottom. You'll need a nice sturdy pair of scissors. I did this with my trimmer, but boy, does it dull the blade down fast. So I'm just going to take and cut off right at that score line all the way across. And so all we're losing is a flap and the 2 little inside flaps. And you can throw those away because we won't need them. The other thing I liked was I was afraid it would be very sharp when I cut the edges off, but it's really not. It's fine. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to assemble our box. And to do that, what you want to do is the first thing I do is I bend this one flap down. This one's free, so I don't need to worry because I like to be able to bend my lid flap while the box is still flat. It's just a little bit easier. And then we have another little flap right there, so I'm going to fold that one as well. Okay, and now we've got that ready to go. Turn it sideways. You're going to stick your fingers inside, and I put them in both ends. And you've got 2, you have an edge and a score line here. So I'm just going to fold until I can crease that score line. Now I've got 2 edges. That makes a nice side. And I'm going to do the same thing on this side. Just going to fold it in, making sure that I can crease that. Now it's starting to take shape. This is going to be the bottom, and we're ready to assemble this. You want to bend your flaps in, and then take the main bottom flap and bend that in. You want to make sure you get it nice and flat, just like that. And now our 2 little flaps here are kind of sticking out, I just took my ruler and pressed them down flat. And it's important that they're flat because if they're sticking up, it's going to be harder for you to push those end blends all the way in. And now I've got a nice flat bottom. Easy so far, right? So how do we attach these together? Well, with our good old tear and tape. I just found that that was the best. I used Fast Fuse on my box last year, and it worked pretty well, but I found towards the end of the year, it was starting to come unstuck in just a couple of places. So I thought that the tear and tape would be stronger. I'm going to run a strip, and we're only working on one side of the box. So I'll just cut a strip there, and then I'll come over here and cut a strip here. And I'm taking it pretty close to the end because I want to make sure that I don't have any gaps. When you have gaps, I found that's when the box can tend to try and separate. So by running it up to the end, that should take care of it. You certainly could put a third strip down if you wanted that extra added security. I really didn't find it necessary. I may pay for it later, but I'm going to try it without. Now I'll just take my bone folder, which is somewhere on my desk here. There it is. And just burnish it down. Don't press too hard. You don't want to collapse your box. But I just want to make sure it has good contact. And then I'll just take my little tool here and peel off the tape. So far, so good. And as you can see, it does not take a lot of time to do this. Matter of fact, I put the first 6 together, probably within about, I don't know, 15, 20 minutes. Okay, now the fun part. How did I get such nice, even edges here? I'm going to show you a little trick. I'll pull this aside. What I did was I lined it up to where I've got the front facing me, and then I took a ruler or just about anything that has a straight edge that's at least an inch, inch and a half tall, because you want there to be some stability. And then I found something heavy, my good old vitamins, to keep the ruler in place. Now I can start all the way out here, press my box right up against it to make sure it's flush, and just slide it all the way back. And that is going to give me my nice even edges. All right, now I'm going to take and stick my ruler in there and press down where I've got that tear and tape to make sure that it really sticks together. And there we go. Now we have another compartment. Some people might think that you need to glue down that flap, and you certainly could put some glue there. I didn't find it necessary. Look, I'm jiggling it and there's nothing falling out of the bottom. And I think the reason is you're only putting 7 blender pens in a row. So it's not particularly heavy on the bottom of that row. Okay, and I can put, let's see, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 42 in here. I said we have 47 blends, so I could put 5 more blends in here. I'll just take some from the back and show you. And you just slide them in there. Nice and easy. Okay, but we only have 47. So actually this one needs to go back. So I needed 5, right? I've got a little room left here once they're all filled up, I've got the rest of them back in my office that I can use for things such as my black marker that I use all the time. Maybe even my Wink of Stella. So I can easily fill up the little empty spots, and you'll have 2 of them once you get the complete set of blends in there. And that's all there is to putting together the box. But we have something very functional now. That's not very pretty. I mean, I like being able to see all the colors and everything, but I can see those right here. And that's how I have it sitting on my desk. Oops, nope, I have it like that. There we go. And I've got my color families running up and down. So how can we pretty this up? Well, that's pretty easy. I went to my DSP. Let me just pull out all my goodies here. And from the Garden Impressions DSP, I absolutely love that pattern. And it has a good variety of colors. So it captures several different color families, meaning that it's really going to dress this up. So what I did was I measured how much I needed, and hopefully I measured right, because remember, I didn't have that last section on. But I'm going to back it with cardstock. So I have 2 pieces that are 4 1/4 by 5 1/2, and 2 pieces that are 4 1/2 by 5 1/2. And that's because one of your sides are going to be a little bit longer than your fronts are, just because we have 7 of them going on. So that's going to back the DSP, and I needed 2 different sizes of DSP. So I have 2 pieces at 4 by 5 1/4 and 2 pieces at 4 1/4 by 5 1/4. So what we're going to do is just quickly mount these. And I cut them that small, oops, wrong one, Linda, so that I would have a nice border all the way around. I wanted just a little bit of my cardstock peeking out. And then we're going to attach that right to our blends box. And that's really going to dress it up. So let me go ahead and get out my liquid glue. And we'll just go ahead, I'm going to pull my blends out of the way here for the moment. There we go. And I will just use a little bit of liquid glue on it. So there's one piece done. Oops, where's my other big piece? There's my other big piece. Yep. Like I said, they're just a little bit different, but that was necessary so that we'd have even coverage. Okay, so we've got 2. Oops. Hello, do this the right way. Hi, Jean. Welcome for joining. Don't worry about being late. You haven't missed too much. Okay, I've got one more piece, and then we're going to be ready to stick this on. And Jean, I don't know if you read the description, but we made a blends holder, and it will hold all of the different colors, the new ones as well as the returning ones. And I'll show it to you in just a moment. Okay, so we've got, those are our 2 slightly smaller pieces. These are our 2 larger pieces. Let me bring back in our container, and the bigger pieces are going to go on the sides, and see how they fit very nicely. So I have just a little bit of a border of the plastic showing through. And that was what I wanted. I didn't want to take it all the way up to the end because then you run the risk of catching it on things. Like I said, this is portable. We want to be able to pick it up and take it places. So by moving that in and cutting it to where it's just a little bit smaller than the actual width of our box, that's going to make sure that it doesn't get caught on anything and lift up. And I'm going to use liquid glue here. So let me just, and I'm going to use a goodly amount because I want good coverage. If you have a directional pattern, make sure that the direction is going the way you want. This one, not really directional, so I can lay it down whichever way I want. And then I'm just going to hold some pressure on it. Here it's really important, and this is another reason why I filled it up with the blends. I wanted it to have some strength on the inside to where I could push down to make sure that I am getting a nice bond, which I am. Okay, so that was one of our edges. Now I'm going to flip it. And this will take one of our smaller pieces because it is just a little bit narrower. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and glue that down. I know it gets pretty repetitious here, but luckily we only have 4 sides to do. So a goodly amount without being too goopy. You certainly could use tear and tape for this as well. But you want a nice strong adhesive because you are adhering it to a slick surface. And again, I'm just going to give it a little bit of pressure here. You know what? I'm going to throw a few more blends up here so that I can press against it. Ah, maybe. There we go. But see how easy they come in and out? I love it, love it, love it. All right, that's better. Now I know I can give it a good press. Okay, so that's the second side. Rotating over. This is going to take the longer piece again. And I also like my liquid glue because it lets me wiggle it around till I have it where I want it. Get up there, you. Should have grabbed the rest of them and put them all in here. But it'll work just fine. Okay, and then we've got one more side to do, which is this one right here. And all I'm really trying to do is I want to make sure that my bottoms and my tops line up because they're all cut at 5 1/4 tall. You should get all the way around. It should line up. Come on. There we go. So just making sure I line up the tops and the bottoms and giving it a good press. That ruler comes in handy. Okay, so far so good. Now we have this to where it has DSP on all 4 sides. Looking pretty good. So next thing I need to decide, because I did want to put a little more decoration, is how did I want this sitting on my desk? What side do I want facing up? And remember, because we have these trays, you can have it to where you're going from top to bottom with storing the blends, or you're going from side to side. Think about how you want to organize your blends according to the colors, and just work out what you like the best. I tend to like them going up and down, so I think that's going to be my top. And the reason I said figure out a top is because I'm going to embellish it even further. It's not enough for me just to put on the DSP. I love our Make a Difference stamp, and I thought, how perfect is it to use on our blends container. And then I also cut, stamped and die cut 2 butterflies from our painted glass bundle, because I thought it would be really pretty if I just stuck them on the top as well. Now, if you wanted, you could use ribbon. And this Tranquil Tide ruffled ribbon was really, really pretty. So I certainly could use that as well and just put my sentiment over the top of it like that. And you know, I really think that's very pretty. So why don't we do that? I know I've cut enough here. Probably cut way too much. I'm going to lay it down and make sure it's not twisted. And then just pull it up. Come here, you. That blends box gets a little heavy. And I think what I'll do is use a little bit of tear and tape to hold it down. So I'll just take a thin strip, maybe about that much. Find my center. That looks good. Probably got it a little crooked, but I can live with that. And then, come on, pokey tool. Just lift this up. And you certainly could put tear and tape on all 4 sides if you want. I think this will be enough for me though. So I'm just going to lay it down here. Cut off this piece since I don't need it. I want to make sure you have enough ribbon to catch though. And then I'll bring this up and do the same. Make sure I'm catching it and cut off any excess. And certainly if you didn't want to put a sentiment on it, you could have just tied a bow there and been done with it, and that would have been pretty too. I could pop this up, but you know, I want it to be portable, so I don't want to run the risk of knocking it or having something slide underneath the sentiment if I have it in a carrying case. So I'm just going to put this straight down. So I'll use my liquid glue. And the nice thing about putting that ribbon down is I now have a reference point to make sure that I line it up correctly. Make sure you give it a good press because that ribbon does make it pop up a little bit, but if you just hold it firm, it will adhere down. All right, and then lastly, we have our butterflies. And I colored these in with the light and dark Calypso Coral blends and the dark smoky, or the light smoky slate for the body. And I've bent the butterfly wings up a little bit. I know. I said I'm going to have it be portable, and geez, Linda, won't that give it a place to catch on. And you're right. But what I'm going to do is just glue down one side, and that way I can lay this flat when I have to transport it. But if it's sitting on my desk and I want to see a little dimension, I can just bend that side wing up. So let me put some glue there. And we'll lay that down and do the same here. Oh, I got hair in there. Losing my hair. And that'll take it just a moment to dry. But that's all there is to it. We are done. So here's what it looks like if you're looking at it from the top. Sitting on your desk, it's going to look like that. So I'll still be able to see the top. And it's very easy for me to stick in my little roll around and transport it if I'm going to do a workshop or even traveling. I'm getting ready to go out of town again. So now that I've got this, I know that I can take all of my blends with me. So that's what I wanted to show you how to do today. Thank you, Jean. I know that cup of tea was really cute, wasn't it? Okay, any questions from anyone? Well, don't be afraid to give this a try. As I mentioned, it only takes 7 of the acetate card boxes. And the nice thing is when Stampin' Up! Does come out with a holder, I can transfer these over to that holder, and I can either keep this to put cards in that I've made. So it'll make a pretty little card container to keep things organized. Or if the Stampin' Up! Blends holder is not quite as portable, I still have this that I can transfer my blends into and take with me. This would also make a great gift box if you have downlines who have the blends or customers who have the blends and no way to store them. It would be maybe a cute workshop project as well. Doesn't take a lot of supplies, doesn't take a lot of time. Okay, well, thanks everybody for tuning in this Tuesday night. I hope you have a great rest of the week, and we'll see you Saturday. Bye-bye now.